Hey everybody, all right, so we're going to take it out again and see what's up with this ratio differential. We've got some stuff we got to put the boat through some paces. I'll explain more as we move forward, but we're going to head out now and check this thing out. The ratio on the new transmission is different than the one on the old transmission. What does that mean? Well, I'm finding out. It means that the engine is turning the propeller shaft at a slower rate of speed, which means a loss of power. How much of a loss? Well, let's figure out the handling of it, and then we'll figure out what that translates to as far as percentage of lost power. I didn't know if it was a power with the fuel supply. Perhaps the propeller is fouled, or maybe there's rope around the propeller. Or perhaps the ratio difference means that I need a new propeller. I don't know yet because I'm still in the process of troubleshooting and finding out. Step one, just like normal, you put the boat in reverse and you back out of the slip. With the old ratio on the gear, the transmission would turn the boat sharply to the left, which can be helpful in some cases. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to put the gear in forward and turn right. Now I put the gear in forward and I rev the motor to get some power, and guess what? It just wasn't responding. It didn't turn even in forward with the power. The mechanic thinks I've lost about 35% of the power or the torque from the new ratio. It's not, no, there's something not right here. I think there may be something around the propeller. The boat is just not responding, and I can't handle it in a very small slipway. And the bottom line is, without that power, you don't have enough room to really get up speed enough to be able to maneuver. So there's a real problem with the loss of power in this boat with the new transmission ratio. So I just said, bag it. I'm just going to put it back in the slip and try to figure this thing out. All right, so I'm really upset. Basically, how do I explain this? The following monologue will only make sense to anyone who has ever handled, helmed, or controlled a 30 to 40 foot sailboat themselves, and that understand the handling dynamics coming in and out of marinas or going out on a seaway or a slipway. So everyone else, you're going to just get bored, so you might want to fast forward it. All right, so we got the new transmission in, and I pull the boat out of the slip. I noticed that there's just a lot less power. I'm told that because the ratio is different, that it really should be fine. However, it makes the propeller not turn as frequently, and so there's a loss of power. They expect it to be about 10% loss, really no big deal. But in this case, there is just such a tremendous loss of power. And when you're dealing with a very small space, and if you've got to double the RPM just to, it's very difficult to go from 600 RPM in idle, then all of a sudden, 2,500 RPM just to get enough speed to go 10 feet. It's very difficult in a tight space, and I don't think it should be like that. I think that there's definitely a problem, and the mechanic is saying that based on the ratio itself, that we're experiencing more like a 35% power loss. There's definitely a problem, and obviously a new transmission should be just as good or better than the old transmission, right? But the ratio is different, and I was told initially you'd only lose about a 10% of power, but this is significant power loss. And what does that mean? For those of you that have sailboats and you maneuver in and out of tight spaces like in marinas, you need torque, you need power, because oftentimes the distances are so short that you don't have time to, build up enough speed to move the boat. And the boats do need a certain amount of speed to turn and to move, right? Otherwise, it's just a kind of floating log in the water. Those of you that are mechanics or have encountered this before, when you've changed the transmission of your sailboat, please comment. Appreciate it. So I'm really stuck. I'm not sure what to do. I got to think this through, come up with a plan, and so everything's come to a standstill.